Welcome to the inUpowers podcast, where we give a name and a face to emotion. We discuss the real and raw when it comes to mental and emotional health. We are here to teach you that emotions are information and behavior is a choice. We want to help you make safer connections through healthy communication by empowering you to understand what your emotions are telling you. I'm your host, Tammy Hymas. Let's get started. Welcome to the inUpowers podcast. I'm Tammy.
And I'm Nikki.
And today we are going to talk about safe connections. In fact, our mission statement says healthy communication and safe connections. And for our Moments Minute, we want to ask you, who is a safe connection for you? Who do you like to talk with? And who do you feel connected to and why? What is it about that connection or that person that actually makes you feel safe? And we are realizing that a lot of anxiety in the world and stuff is because we are not connecting or actually even talking with each other. We're digitally doing it, but we're not doing it in person. And you saw this as a big deal in schools, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. We're lacking human connection. And that's face-to-face connection, that's emotional connection, not just by a device. Kids don't know how to connect with one another. And I think parents don't know how to connect with their kids. We were talking about how, like, even at restaurants and at grocery stores, I see kids sitting in the basket with their parents' iPhone while mom and dad shop. And it's like, well, no, you should be talking with them while you're shopping. Hey, I'm looking for the Cheerios. Do you see the Cheerios? Things like that. Even at restaurants, there's devices on the tables that have games for kids to play so parents can sit there and converse while their kids are playing games. And they're not learning how to behave and how proper, etiquette at a restaurant.
Because I just had to be quiet. If mom and dad were talking and adults were talking, I got to listen or I got to get distracted. That was what my mom said. You can behave. You can look around. Like, find everything yellow or something.
No, seriously. We taught our kids, we would go to a local restaurant because kids' meal night was 99 cents. And I know they're more than 99 cents now. But that way we could teach them how to behave. We don't jump up on the seats. We don't scream and holler. We don't bug the people behind us. And if we're going to throw fits, we're going to go sit in the car for a minute, until we can make better choices and then we can come back in, things like that. But now we're just so quick to give a device and to give technology, but there's nothing on the other end of that technology. But there's no like affirmations. There's no hugs. There's no emotional connection, and we're missing that.
But we think it is because it's actually made to send dopamine.
Yeah.
And the chemical in your brain is this dopamine, and we're getting dopamine hits. And so that's how you can go into the scrolling like abyss. And how come you can chase so many things? Because you can search the world on the internet and on our phones and on our devices. The problem is our brain needs more than dopamine. We need our endorphins. We need the serotonin. We need the oxytocin. We even need the cortisol. We need all of our brain to interact. And I was actually at a conference for Juvenile Justice Association, and they showed the chemicals of a brain of a child when they were connecting with their parent and when the parent was on their phone and they were not connecting with the child. And you could see the brain igniting when the parent was engaging with them one-on-one, and when they picked up the phone, it dimmed. And it was impactful.
Well, yeah, think about this. I had kiddos who don't know what to do when the going gets tough. They don't know how to get back up because they've never had to do that. Or they've had their parent rescuing them. And we have what they call lawnmower parents that pave the way for their kids so they don't know what it's like to get back up, or if things don't go their way, they're used to throwing fits and getting what they want, or they don't know what to do when they forget their library book and it's library day. Oh, I can just call my mom and they'll bring it here. instead of having to realize, yeah, nope, sorry, you don't get to check out a new book. You'll have to wait till next time, because we always are rescuing and saving them and not having them realize, what to do when something doesn't go right. I've had students cry because math was difficult because they don't know what to do when something is harder. I also have had kids who don't know how to make friends or how to keep friends because they play video games and they're on TV and they're on devices, so they don't know what to do. Or if they are playing a game, when someone is being too bossy, they don't know what to do, or someone's breaking the rules, they don't know what to do. And it's because they never had to just play with the people in in your neighborhood.
Right.
When you would just go out and you had to learn how to play and you learned how to stand up for yourself, saying, hey, you can't do that. Or you learned how to ignore the bully, or the one that's being mean. Instead, we have organized play dates where you pick and choose who comes over. So then there's no animosity going on and they don't know what to do during conflict, and so they don't know what to do when there's conflict.
And then how does that play out in like the classroom and in the playground? How are those kids doing that just are really struggling because they haven't learned those connections?
They wander the playground.
They wander?
They wander. They don't have any friends. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to go up to someone and say, hey, will you play with me? Or, hey, can I join you?
Okay, but I also believe that that's also with us adults.
Totally.
I think as we've gotten more device savvy, I think we've gotten connection and human dumb.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be rude. And none of us are dumb, but I think we've lost the ability to connect.
But we go out of our comfort zone.
Absolutely.
And to meet someone new, talk to a stranger. Say,
or just smile at a stranger.
Oh yeah, smile at a stranger. Like at the grocery store, you're passing by someone. How hard is it to smile or say good morning or hello?
Or and how many of us, the second we get in the line, we pull out our phone to be distracted, so we don't have to have a conversation with someone.
Right.
I mean, I'll be honest. I put an earbud in once because I was like, I am in a bad place. I can't talk to anyone.
Right.
And I wasn't on the phone, but I just didn't want to be bugged.
But that's not your go-to.
Never.
Whereas for other people,
one time, I guess never's not the word.
right, but that one time, but it's
right.
not your go-to forever.
No.
But it starts from an early age, not knowing how to communicate, how to have a conversation, how to express their emotions and concerns, because there's no one listening to them. If a parent and a child, when they're 3 and 4, can't sit there and say, how was your day? What'd you do today? From preschool, or even if you want to wait till they're 5, but I highly disagree with that. But, you need to be reading books with their kids, asking about themselves. How was your day? Tell me about your day.
So YouTube, somebody reading on YouTube isn't as good as a parent reading to a child?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely
Tell me
not.
Why?
Because there's not that connection there. You want to have a relationship with your child, and your child wants to have a relationship with you, but if you don't give them the time of day, what are you telling them?
That they're not important.
That's exactly. They're not important. And then what do they turn around and do to their friends? Don't give them the time of day because they're not important.
And then what do? They wander.
Because people have to realize kids come into this world as a blank slate. They don't know anything. You have to teach them night and day. You have to teach them breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snacks. You have to teach them, all these things. We don't hit. We don't bite. We are kind. We have to teach them everything. And if what they see, and if you don't until they're in kindergarten or if they're early readers, everything is visual learning. It is hearing. It is what they are, their textile. You always see kids putting things in their mouths, babies and stuff, because that's how they're learning. By seeing, hearing, and feeling. And if what they're seeing is communication, is a device, then that's what they see and what they hear. How many of you have ever seen a 2-year-old who already knows how to swipe?
Oh, yeah.
It's because they see it over and over again. So that's what they're being taught.
So when parents, even if they do put the device down, but they have the news playing all day long, or they have shows that are on the radio that are very divisive,
Mm-hmm.
is that teaching children? Because I used to think, oh, that's grown up stuff, so I didn't pay attention to it. But I think I did. Like, do our children hear or get stuff from what we're doing that's not necessarily within?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because what did you just get? You got it that it was grown up stuff.
Ah.
Right? So you were taught, oh, that's mom's show.
Got it.
Oh, they're watching the news. It's 10 o'clock news. That's what I grew up with my parents watching, 10 o'clock news.
Right.
Oh, that's mom's show. That's dad's show. So they learn. And yeah, they'll learn to tune it out because you don't like it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Or music. That's mom's music, dad's music. That's that oldies stuff. It's not their music. And even when they're little, they learn that's mom's music. Now they can learn to appreciate that music, or they can learn that, yep, that's just mom and dad's music. That type of thing. But yeah, everything that they take in is by example.
Right.
When I would read with my kids, and I know they can't read, so I would ask them, hey, where's the butterfly? Where's the trees? And you're making those connections, and you're giving your time, which tells them they're important. And it tells them that books are important, reading is important. And when we don't do that, then that importance is never established. If you're always pawning your kids off onto television, and even if it's educational, because I'll be honest, I did educational shows too. We did Super Y, we did Team Umizoomi and Dora and all those and other ones on PBS Kids, because sometimes I needed to get some things done,
mm-hmm.
and I used it, as a babysitting tool for a minute.
Well, and not every human can interact every second of the day with a child.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have more than one child, and there's more than just paying attention to them to do. However, we do need to make time. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, you have to make time for those connections. If you want healthy connections, then you've got to give the time. You have to give the emotional, your emotional self to whoever it is. If you want a friendship with someone, you take the time to get to know them. You ask them what their likes and dislikes are, what their favorite music and shows are. You get to know them. You put forth the effort. And then that friend realizes that they're important to you, and a friendship is established.
It's true.
But if you don't make those connections, how is a friendship going to happen? How is a relationship between parent and child going to happen? As a teacher even, I know that I need to have a relationship with my students, or no learning is going to take place. They're not going to put themselves out there to ask me questions when they're not getting a math concept. They're not going to sit there and work on a skill if they don't feel that I can teach them that skill. If we don't have that relationship, if they don't think that I have their back,
right,
they're not going to learn from me. And the same goes for everyone else. But if we're too busy with our devices and with technology, with sleep, with, our own selves.
Our own dramas.
Because
we have a lot of our own making. We might not always be on a device. We might be stuck in our head because we have this big project due at this certain date. And if we don't get it in, that could be our job. Or, you know what, we've been working this hard, but we still don't have enough money to cover the rent. Or how am I going to feed my family? Sometimes surviving trumps making time to make connections. But it doesn't have to, because we can make time to make connections.
And even if it's 5 minutes.
It counts.
One of my favorite times of the day is before bedtime. I know that my children, they love to have conversations before bed. And I know it's because they're procrastinating going to bed. But we have had some of our best conversations before bed. And I won't give them up. As much as I'm tired, I know they should be in bed because I have teenagers. And so I know they could stay up a little later than the young ones. But we have some of those best conversations. So even if it's taking that 15, 20 minutes at the end of the day, because we were so busy doing our own things,
right,
sports and school and work and all the things, but we connect at that 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. Sometimes it's only 5 or 10. It's worth it.
Yeah.
And it goes a long way.
It really
but if
does.
I sat there and told my kids, no, I'm tired, I need to go to bed, you guys need to get in bed, what would that be teaching my kids?
Exactly.
you know, and things like that. It's not that you can't be on your device, but think about how long you're on your device and how long are your kids on devices between iPads and oh shoot, I can't get them all right, but you know, Xboxes and the little handheld ones, the Nintendo Switch and things like that, and video games and things like that. How much are they on it and not making
Oh,
connections
well,
with their
remember,
friends?
we were talking with Marcy.
Oh yes.
And I was, hey, oh, Marcy is our brilliant graphic design artist. You can't see her right now, but she's behind the scenes and she's smiling at me. She's like, oh, you're going to bring me up? Yes, I am. I asked her, I said, so how many hours do you think people are on their devices a day? And she said, at least 7. I was like, what? Like, that flabbergasted me. How can you be on a tiny little 5x8 screen for 7 hours of your day? And in 7 hours, what are you missing? Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, I can answer my emails and we can scroll it. And she was like teaching me, because she's younger than us, so she can teach us the generational stuff. And I'm old school, so I'm always
Me
like,
too.
wait a second. And so I love it. But our phones have so much in them. Today we even worked and we saw financial things and we saw registration things. We could go through it and it was all on my phone, but it was a lot of business stuff. And so, but 7 hours.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Oh, you sleep 8.
Yeah.
So what are you doing with the other 9?
Yeah. It's crazy. You know, between TikTok reel videos and reels and Instagram and emails, even schoolwork.
Right?
Even
it's all
schoolwork,
digital.
even work, you know, for your job stuff. I mean, you can be there in a long time. And so it's hard to sometimes put it down to make those connections. I have a story, and my daughter, I won't tell you her name, but my daughter, when she was 16, my husband told her she was not allowed to text a boy. She could be on a group text message with boys and girls, but she was not allowed to personally text message. And she freaked out because my husband said she could call a boy and talk to him, but could not text message. And she freaked out. She flipped a lid, and I'm telling her, you're lucky you can call a boy, because when I was growing up, I wasn't allowed to call and talk to boys. And he tried
they had to call us.
Right, yes. And he tried to explain to her that what you would say in a text message is different than what you would say in an actual phone call. Not to mention how it's being interpreted in a text message. And she was like, that's not how we communicate and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I'm trying to teach you how to have a conversation by actually talking live to someone. That is a skill and you need to have, and being able to connect with that person. And through a text message, you're not going to learn that skill. And so I know we struggle with our teenagers and our kids with that, because that's not how they communicate. But it's because they don't know how to communicate like that.
Well, and they've gotten used to being anonymous.
Yes.
And you can throw up a horrible review, or you can say something mean in a text and then say, oh, I didn't mean to say it that way. Just like I found out that K, capital K with a period, means you're yelling at someone. I did not know that was a thing in a text. I thought you start a sentence, and I was trying to be cool, so I put a letter there, and then you end the sentence with a period. But apparently that's yelling. And so I would answer text like, oh, can we do this or can we do that? I'm like, K. I thought to me, I was saying K, but to them, like, K. Like, and I was like, I wasn't yelling. Like, I just didn't even know in a text.
And the other one was the ha-ha.
Yes!
Ha-ha, I thought was laughing, but no, that's just supposed to be,
like,
it means it's light.
Yes!
Like, just like said it lightly. You know, and so, but again, communication.
Exactly.
You know, but if you don't communicate, you don't know these things.
And if you're not face to face, you don't get the energy of their thoughts. You don't get the smile. You don't get to feel their love. You don't get to hear the way they're interpreting what is being written in a text. And it is so important for us as humans. We need all of it.
Yes, we need these healthy connections and human interaction.
Yes.
You know,
and we need the ones we like and don't like.
Oh, yeah.
Because we need to learn how to deal with things we don't like.
Oh, yeah.
And we need to learn how to get through something that's hard.
Oh, yeah.
And it is vital for us as a human family to start connecting. Look up from your phone, smile, say hi, recognize that there's somebody there. And our invitation this week is going to ask you to make a connection. One that you have been kind of avoiding because you're unsure of it. And so you'll grab the phone and maybe send him a text, but actually going over and saying hi or calling him on the phone, you haven't had the courage to do. I challenge you this week from your Moments Minute to make a safe connection outside of the already safe ones you have. And if you analyze the ones you have that are safe, that will help you be able to strengthen this new one. Anything you would like else to say?
Nope, I think that's perfect, and I can't wait actually to do the challenge you made. Yeah, because now I'm thinking in my mind, who do I need to connect with more this week?
It makes a difference. It makes an impact in your life. You find joy where you put your effort. Please don't put all your effort in your phone. Put it with the people that you love. And remember,
emotions are information,
and behavior is a choice. Talk to you next week.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the inUpowers podcast. We are grateful you are here. Please share this podcast with those you know who might need it, and follow and rate us so we can continue providing this podcast to you. Follow us on social media to see more visuals about the inUpowers, and join us next week for another episode. Until then, remember, the power to choose is in you.